Well, this month, it's kind of pick your pleasure. You can sketch. I know Naileen's filling up a sketchbook, which is great. Um, if we were on location, we'd go out in the area and sketch whatever we saw. Filling up a sketchbook is a great option to do. So you can pick whatever. If you're working on a personal project, you can work on your personal project. I'm going to be playing around, ordered some supplies. I might do some watercolor. I'm definitely going to play around with some charcoal. If you have any questions or anything that you're working on specifically that you want help with, by all means, jump in. I was going to try to do some iPad work on Procreate, do some concept art, but I'm still trying to figure out how I can share my screen without any technical difficulties. I could do it on the table and do a shot up above, but the glare and the brightness of the screen makes it too much of a challenge for any of you to really see what's going on. But welcome. Anybody working on anything particular? Anyone working on watercolor? Because some of you guys were really jamming at watercolor, which was really good. Hey, Avery. Hey, Jay. Welcome. So I may play around with charcoal at the moment. This last month in May, when it was Mix It Up May, did you guys find anything that you liked? Anything you're like, hey, I like this. I want to try it more. Oh, great. I'd like to see that character. Yeah, you can work on your characters if you want to try your character in watercolor, try your character in charcoal. By all means. That's what part of taking classes is about, is you can experiment. You can do things that, this isn't a job, so if you make a mistake, the boss isn't going to get mad. This is the place to make your mistakes and lessons. This is the place. Digitally, very nice. So Nathan, I see you're here with us today. What are you working on? Has anybody played with the animation program since we last did it the other month? See, art has so much to offer. We could do digitally, we could do watercolor, we could do still life studies, we could do figure drawings, we could do character design, visual development, animation. It has something for everybody. Acrylics, oil paints. So right now, this is charcoal powder. It's basically charcoal ground up into a powder. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay a tone down on my sheet. I'm just going to make this like a middle value. Nothing too dark, but something to work with. So I'm not looking at a bright blank sheet. Remember we talked about that last week? About when you come into a blank sheet, you're already working with one of your highest values on your canvas, on your piece of paper. And your values is what's going to help you push and pull your drawing. It's going to help you bring perspective, put dimension into it. You could also achieve this with vine charcoal. Vine charcoal is very light. It's fine. It's great for sketching. So if I was to sketch, I don't know, a character or somebody, so if I want to start off a simple sketch, it's great. But the thing with vine charcoal, it is very, it's fine. So it's not going to leave a mark. So if I wanted to, I could come back in and go, you know what? I don't like that sketch. And it's gone. So vine charcoal, it's forgiving, but it's also great if I wanted to just lay down a tone. And see how it's giving me that. You can't really see it on the screen, but it's giving me this nice even tone that I can spread out on the paper. And if you're working in charcoal, you cannot be afraid to get dirty. Good suggestion. Nice advice, Avery. And the thing about doing it on digitally, if it is leaning, I've seen that you can change it and fix it, which is nice because then you're not stuck with your composition in one place. You could change the size of the canvas at any moment. So laying down a tone can be done with your vine charcoal. I prefer charcoal powder just because it's a lot quicker. It gives me a very, very even tone. See, I don't know if you can see down here, the vine charcoal, it can create marks and it makes the blending a little harder. This is your art. This is, you know, I'm not really sure what I'm going to be working on just yet. I don't have a couple of ideas, but nothing really in stone. Got a little background music there going on. Humming is good. I like humming. So Nathan, welcome. I didn't see you here the other week. How you been? Been making art? Rose Brick Studios, welcome. Hey, Kat. So you can see it's got a light tone. It's kind of blotchy. I'm not really concerned about it at the moment because if I was doing a figure drawing or study, it would occupy most of this space. So this is how I would prep my paper if I was doing a live figure drawing. Okay, so now I could jump in with a charcoal pencil and start sketching. And it depends what you want to do. If you know exactly what you want, you can go right in with a heavy compressed charcoal and just start drawing. Or you could just sketch it out. Now, this is like different weights of pencils. You have different hardnesses. This is a 2B, so this is more of like a medium. So let's see, what do I want to draw? Maybe I will sketch out, I don't know. Did this last week, but I think we're doing, what do we do? Acrylics. So it's a generally rough sketch. So what you can do from here, now, since it's in charcoal, and it's a hard weight, it's not soft. If I didn't like his nose, I could just come in with my chamois and erase his nose. But I think his nose was okay. Thing with the coyote, a lot of times, oh, you know what? Let's change that up. Let's make his nose, his snout a little longer. That looks better. So your drawing's going to change. It doesn't have to be right the first time you put it down. Okay, so now that I got this general shape of the coyote that I want, you can clean it up going so you're not confused on what lines you want to keep. And like Bugs Bunny, he's kind of got big cheeks too. And one of the things about Chuck's characters that you'll notice is his eyes. It's true about Pixar too. A lot of times when you're drawing a character, and if you look at their eyes is what's going to tell you what they're going through. It'll tell you if they're thinking, if they're feeling sad or happy. And that's something you can try doing too, is just spend a day doing expressions. So what do your eyes say when they're looking up like that? Does it say I'm surprised? I'm or how about when your eyes are like that. And a lot of times too, when you laugh, if you look at drawings of a character laughing, a lot of times their eyes are closed. So when you're doing your character's eyes, look at Pixar. That's one of their things. Their eyes are huge. Look at anime characters. The eyes will tell you everything you need to know. Or if you're just watching somebody, you don't have to turn the volume down the TV and watch their face and their expressions. A lot goes into drawing and animation, illustration. Illustration is a drawing and you're trying to tell a story. Okay, so now that I got my basic drawing down, it's okay. It gives me a direction that I'm headed to. And you see how loose I'm keeping my drawing? It's not tight. It's not finished. To me, I prefer that style because you're telling the story of the process. Okay, so from here, I may come back in with a little more powder or a softer charcoal, and I'll start modeling it. So we know his nose is going to be dark. This is just basically like painting with charcoal. I'm shadowing areas where I want to have the edge of the drawing start folding in space. I can still see my general drawing. I can see the direction I'm headed. My drawing's not completely gone, but that's where you want to, it's kind of like oil painting. Oil painting is the same way. It's like you put your drawing in, you start painting, but that line can almost get hidden. But that's where you keep your general sketch in place, and then you start going from the drawing to painting. But when you're painting, you're drawing with the paints in a sense. And I don't have it with me. Another good tool to have, it's called a blending stick or a rubbing stick. And it's basically like a wound up piece of paper that you help blend. Right now I'm just using a piece of rag. I still have my general picture. And if you need to go back in to reestablish your drawing, don't just go back in. Don't be afraid to just do it. It's your drawing. You did it once, you could do it again. So I got my drawing bat. I know where I want everything to land. So now I'm gonna push it up just a little bit. Now be careful when you start going darker, because when you go darker, unlike vine charcoal, when you go with heavier and softer charcoals, they're harder to take off. They're harder to pick up. So when you make a mark with, this is one of my favorite ones, with this compressed Conte charcoal, it's going to leave a mark. Because this charcoal right here, this will not rub off so easily. This will stay for a bit. So when you're doing this one, make sure that's what you want. Okay, so right now I'm going to come back in. And this is what I also used to do. I used to color my finger, put the charcoal on my hand, and kind of like finger painting, use it to push certain areas if I didn't want it to be too hard. Now with this, I'm being a little more precise and careful because this charcoal is going to stay. So I need to think twice before I put this down, because it's not going to be like vine charcoal where I'm going to go, oh, let me just erase that, because this, it'll start looking really muddy if you do. And like I said before, when you're doing your drawing, if your character's arm or foot goes off the page, go off the page like I'm doing right up here. Because if you try to stop right there, it's going to look like you tried stopping on the page. Go with the drawing. His ears are bigger, so his ears are bigger. They're not going to see it, but they'll feel it. You'll feel like, oh, okay, his ears are off the page, but you know it looks right. And Chuck always liked to have his eyeballs come off the page, come outside. So if you have a character, so if also too, a piece of paper is good to work with charcoal, because if you really want to keep it clean, you can use the paper to lay down and protect your drawing area so you're not smudging it. But just make sure you don't rub it. You pick it up, and if it gets too muddy, get a piece of paper, and then you can move around without smudging what's underneath. Some artists, they use a ruler. A lot of painters will use a ruler. It's my charcoal brush if I need to clean an area or if I'm erasing. They'll use a ruler to prop their hand up underneath off the page, and so it protects the drawing also. So they will draw with the ruler under their hand so that they're not laying it on their art page. It's another little tip. Or you can use a piece of paper. Depends on if you're using wet paint or if you're using charcoal. Experiment. Figure out what works best for you. But going back to Chuck's eyeballs, if he had a character, let's say Daffy Duck, if Daffy Duck's eyes were here, the eyeball would actually, if you look at some of his drawings real close, it's not inside the line. So if somebody was, a lot of times people dry their eyes this way with the pupil inside. If you look at Chuck's drawings, his pupil comes outside of that. So it's one of his little tricks, but I think it gives his characters more life. Because a lot of times people draw eyes, they keep the pupil inside. Chuck would put his just on that line or just outside of it. Little trick. So, and I just observed that just from working with Chuck and looking at his drawings. So that's where the line is. I'm coming outside of that just a bit. So that's where the line is. And I'm going to come outside of that just a bit. In a lot of Chuck's drawings too, the eyes and the nose are generally going to be your strongest or darkest points. So since my hands are a little black right now from the charcoal, I can come back here and start modeling more. Start modeling my character where I want edges to be darker, where I want some of my shadows. Once again, I can come back in my chamois, start pulling out certain areas. It'll pick up some of my highlights. So if I want to start pulling out stuff, okay, I want a little highlight on this cheek, so I might use the chamois and just pull a little bit off that cheek. Maybe a little up here on the forehead. But your best highlights are going to come, and this is why you don't want to use too much of that compressed charcoal, because your best highlights are going to come when you go back in. And have any of you worked with a kneaded eraser? Kneaded eraser is awesome with charcoal. Excuse me. And to me, when you start pulling out highlights, your drawing really starts to pop. It really starts to come to life. And what the thing about the kneaded eraser is you can shape it. If you need it to be a very fine point, you can shape it to a very fine point. So let's go back in and we'll start pulling out highlights. Okay, so what do we know about our drawing? Well, his eyes are going to be white. So they're a little muddied now, but we're going to come in here. All right, we're going to pull that out. And then come over here, pull more of that white out. I left a little spot on his nose. See if I can get that without getting it too muddy, because that even a kneaded eraser will have challenge with compressed charcoal, picking that out. And then we could come up here over on his muzzle, his snout area, and we'll pull a little bit of an edge of light here. Usually there's a little highlight on your cheekbones. Usually above your eyebrow. So you can see I'm starting to model him. And depending if you want to pull out less, you just put less pressure down. If you want to put out more, pull out more charcoal and make a stronger highlight. Make sure your kneaded eraser, you got a clean edge of it. And if you need to darken up an area and maybe you pulled out too much, you can go back in and just spread out a little more of the charcoal. So as you can see, I'm modeling it and it's giving him that form. So you got, like we talked earlier, we have our highlight and we got our core shadow going on in here. It could be darker. So I could come in here and I could build up a core shadow here. Like we're talking with the ball in that one exercise. And then we have a little bit of reflective light down here at the bottom. And that's what's going to help the form turn in space. That's what's going to help give it dimension. If I wanted to, I could come back in here and put darker shadows in and keep playing with it until it got to the point where I wanted it to. So this is like, if you're at home, do a still life. Set up, a bottle, a can, and then set it up with a strong light that has light from one direction so you can see your shadows. Now, if you wanted to come back in here, you could work on details. If you wanted to start adding individual hairs, then you could do that with a pencil. Right now, I'm just going to work on more of the shadowing and bringing out that form. Find that core shadow in the character. And you can see how his cheek right here is starting to look like where it's bending, where it's folding in space. So I could come up here, and if I wanted to punch this up more, see how I'm building up this core shadow right here in the middle? And now his upper cheek is starting to have a little more volume and form. And also notice too, just in general, the corner of the mouths will be pretty dark. That goes for most everything. People, characters, when you smile, that corner generally is going to be pretty dark. So don't be afraid to give a little, push that a little. Okay, so speaking of core shadows also, right here, there should be a core shadow. Right where his nose is. Because that's in space, that's where it's turning to go around to the other side of his face. And just take your time and build it up. There's no rush to this. Just build it up. And you see what I'm doing right here? I'm building up that core shadow. Because I got my dark value in. I need to work on more of my middle values.
I think Kat would like to share.
Oh, please. Hey, Kat.
Oh, I just wanted to share a little axolotl thing. I've been drawing these. They're a creature of my own creation, and I've decided to shape one like it was sleeping into a cupcake.
So tell me about this creature.
So they're axolotl dragon things.
Okay.
And this is a really long one, and it's sleeping curled up like a cupcake. That was one of the more cute ones, and I have a different one that's eating, a fish that I drew yesterday.
Wow, that's very cool. I like the idea that the other one curled up into a cupcake.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could hide itself.
Uh-huh.
It could hide itself, just make sure it doesn't get eaten or anything. But
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great camouflage technique. Good job. Anybody else got something to share? We're 3/4 through the course right now, the workshop. Lilian and Heather, how you guys doing? What are you guys working on? Nice. Doing some character design. So is that a character you've been working on, new character?
New.
Nice. I like it. I like the pose is nice. I like the pose. Good colors, good colors.
Here's just something I did.
Hey. So what is that, pencil?
Yeah.
That's good. I like, see, with the pencil, see the different values you have working there? You got light areas and dark areas. That's good. It adds interest and contrast to the picture. Good job. Good job, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys have anything to share, please. If you have questions about what you're working on, I'm just working on charcoal because it's what I recently ordered some supplies for, and they showed up just the other day.
Rose Brick would like to share.
Okay. Welcome, Rose Britt. Nice. So what are we using? Markers?
Yeah, hoo-hoo markers.
What kind?
Oh, hoo-hoo.
Can you hold it up? I don't know if I've heard of them. Huh. Oh, I was gonna say, and they're Star Wars mark. No, that's just a pin. But hey, good taste in movies. Good taste in movies.
Thank you.
I like that drawing. Hold it up one more time. I like that. Wow. So they're good for blending, I see.
Yep.
Nice. I can see you got that blending action going on the hand and on the face. Good job. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, the blending looks great. Yeah, Jay even noticed it. Good job. Anyone else at the moment? We got about 15 minutes left in the course, the workshop.
I'd like to share.
Okay.
My camera's not turning on.
All right, well, take your time. When it gets working, let us know. And we'll love to see what you're working on. Anybody else at the moment? So next week, you guys have any particular interest in working in anything? Or you guys want to keep just doing our own thing? We could go visit watercolors again. I would love to see some of your sketchbook stuff. Naileen's workshop for a sketchbook, great idea. Great idea. Go out, fill up sketchbooks, fill up pages, you know. I will try to bring some of my sketchbooks and share them with you guys just to give you an idea of what goes in them. You know, your dragons, Cat, your dragons, you know, that's a great one. Character designs, anything goes. You know, I used to use it as a visual journal. If I was having a bad day, you know, I would write notes on the side and then do a drawing that reflected it. You know, it's my visual diary, my visual journal, the travels of your life. You know, it's your art. Art's very personal, you know, because it's coming from us. Now, if you're working on a job doing a graphic design, like I'm going to be designing business cards for a client of mine, that's not as personal to me as it is to them, but even that design is going to be more business. It's personal to them, but it's more of a business decision versus the art you guys make that comes from the heart. You know, this is something that makes you happy. You know, it's personal. It's either if you're joy, if you're upset, then, you know, let it out on paper. You know how we have artists like songwriters that write these beautiful, sad songs because they come from someplace. A lot of the times it's personal to them. Good job, you guys. You guys are awesome. Rosebrick, thanks for sharing. I like that. I hope you come up more often and join us. Yes, Avery, please.
Okay, so it's digitally, so I'll pull it up
No
real
worries.
quick. Yeah, this isn't by no means a human. It's a bit human anatomy based, but yeah.
It's humanoid. It's humanoid-like.
But yeah, that's what I'm working on.
I don't know if we're seeing anything just yet.
Oh.
Turn around. Turn around.
Oh,
Not
there
that
you go.
way.
Hmm.
They have very odd news.
All right, tell us about your character. I like it.
It's just a work in progress character. It doesn't really have a name quite yet, but yeah.
Cool. Good job. Thank you. Anybody else right now? That's good. You guys are working on good stuff. I always like to see what people are working on. I always like to see what everyone's doing. And you guys are making art, which is, you know, keep drawing. Keep doing your thing. So right now I'm just building up on layers, and you can see how it's not as flat as you was earlier, because I generally, if you have at least 3 tones down, it's enough to help your character read. It'll show a light, a middle ground, and a dark area, and that's enough. 4 is great. 3 is, most storyboard artists use 3 tones when they're breaking down a scene. So it's enough to read to show what's going on with your character. Keeping it simple. Now, if you want to do finished drawings, then that'll just take more time and you'll have to spend more time doing it, but it's possible. Now I'm getting little divots, as you can see, like my blacks aren't fully black because you can see the paper, because it's a dependent on the surface of your paper. Is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it hot press, cold press? So that'll all make a difference. It's something to consider when you are doing your pieces. So right now I'm just going, and as you can see, I'm slowly going darker because it's easy to go too dark, but you're going to have one heck of a time to lighten that up, especially with charcoal. If you do ink washes, have you ever added ink to water to see how dark it gets? It gets dark fast, and it takes more water to try to lighten that up. So just take your time. It's not a big rush, and part of it, this is, it's art. We enjoy making art, so this is part of the process. But maybe for next week, maybe this week, I'll take my sketchbook out and have some sketchbook fun, because that's a really great idea what Nayleen suggested for you guys. It's awesome. So now, since I don't have my rubbing stick or blending stick, just using a rag, and I'm modeling him. You can see I'm starting to go a little darker. I'm smoothing areas out, but it's taking form. He's taking form. You can see the highlights. I might come in here and blend that a little more. Well, I'm glad you guys joined us today. Just a reminder, our classes are donation based. So whatever you folks can, if you can donate, appreciate it. Chuck will share, Scott will share with you the website you can go to make a donation. It's because of your donations that we're able to offer these classes. And I hope you guys are benefiting from them. It looks like you guys are doing well. Looks like you guys are a bunch of great artists in your own merit. But I want to teach you some of the stuff that I didn't learn till I was like after high school and college, where I was taking formal classes. And you guys keep it up. You guys are doing a great job. Any questions before we leave today? Yes, Jay, absolutely. I was hoping you would. Oh, in a minute. Absolutely. Take your time. We still got a few minutes. And as you can see, the difference when I was working with tone to no tone. That tone, when you're doing a painting, that tone or drawing, I might do some painting on black paper next week just to change it up. Maybe acrylics or gouache. Watercolor wouldn't work too good on black paper because it's translucent. You'd see through it. Not unless that was you're going for, but if you're going for translucency on black paper, I would go with thin gouache or acrylic because that'll come through your paint. We've got about a couple of minutes left. Jay, you ready to share with us yet? No pressure, but we're going to be wrapping it up shortly. And I really would like to see what you're working on. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
So this is my totally finished drawing that I started yesterday, which I'm still working on.
I like it. You got it on, is that, what kind of paper is that? Canson?
I have no idea what type it is.
But I
I'll
like it that
probably
it's on
look at it
tone
after.
paper. I like that it's on tone paper because it helps, right?
Yeah.
It's a great place to start. You're not looking at complete white. And it makes your white stand out more. And it's a great tone. What are you doing? What is that, colored pencil?
Yeah. Prismacolor.
Good job. I can see the layering. See, you're doing what I was talking to them about with the charcoal. You got the layering going on in the hair.
Yep.
Which adds that deep texture. Good job. Ooh, I'm looking forward to the finished piece on that. That's awesome. All right, everybody, before we take off, I want to give everyone a chance to share if they have something. No? All right. We'll keep up the great artwork. Thank you, Scott. Again, if you guys can make a donation, it's very much appreciated. It helps everybody. And I will see you folks next week. Keep drawing.
Thanks, Darrell. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.